continuación tenemos la siguiente de las charlas. La charla va a ser en inglés. Por eso it's time to switch into English and to go with the session with our next speaker. Who didn't know we have a United Nations base quite near from here? You all know it? Perfect. As you know, the UN base in Guard is responsible for guaranteeing the IT security for the most of the UN mission all over the world. In the next talk, our speaker will let us know with more details what the ICT is doing to guarantee this security. Patrice is engineer from Faculté Polytechnique de Mons, Belgium. He previously worked as system engineer, testing automation architect, IT security architect, and IT technology audit. Currently, as ICT security and operational resilience coordinator of the Department of Field Support, he is leading the team responsible for ICT security and operational resilience. Patrice possesses the following certification: CISAP, CISA, CISM, ITIL, TOGAF, and Prince 2 Foundation and Practitioner. Patrice, don't forget that you can tell us anything you want to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a shame for me to do the presentation in English. We are in Valencia, Spain. I'm sorry for that. I expect for the next one to do it in Spain, in Spanish or in Valencian. Why not? Okay, just to give some few words, because when we say ICT security and operational resilience, in general, in terms of IT, for the people who know the ITILs or all the processes, it does not mean anything. In fact, in the UN, principally for the peacekeeping, all the activities that are related to the IT service continuity management, IT disaster recovery, they encompass that in what they call operational resilience, just to be clear. And they have a team called ICT security, but we are doing more than ICT security. In fact, we are doing information security. Okay, it's just a wording. Okay, I know that when we mention about the United Nations, it's quite broad. So here I will not speak about United Nations. I hope that everyone here knows what is United Nations. Although it's not clear because you have the global one. In general, what people see is the Secretary General and so on. But it's more than that. We have the agencies and so on. But I will not explain. I will let any of you go to the internet in order to find the information. Here I will be focusing. I will give a kind of background of the base here in Valencia, because I don't know how many persons here know that there is the United Nations in Valencia. My landlord, the first time I arrived, he was asking me, what is it? What are you doing in Valencia? It's not normal. Right? So I don't know how many persons who is aware that there is United Nations in Valencia. Okay, that's good. Okay, go ahead. Yes, so the team that I am responsible for is doing the security for the Department of Field Support for the peacekeeping. What does it mean? It means that we are providing the support for the peacekeeper, the guy that you see with the blue casque that are in the mission. I will come back on that later on, because some of our team, I think the majority of our teams in Valencia are the Spanish guys. And the first time I went in a mission with them, they were very surprised, because it's a kind of job that you don't see in any other organization. It's quite important. So in general, in the world, you have 16 peacekeeping operations. Some of them are quite old, like UNMOGIP, for example, in Pakistan, or UNSO in Jerusalem, existing for till 1948, for example. Some of them are very large, and you can continue, okay. Some of them have been translated to what is called a special political mission. It means there is no, the military, but it's there to keep the political affairs, because they are in the area with a lot of issues. Okay. Yes, I gave one example. I think the one that maybe all of you knows in Congo. It's one of the most complicated. When I say complicated, it's not only in terms of all the politics, but also in terms of IT. We are speaking here about cyber security. So you see the number of troops, 20,000 persons. So you imagine that any of these persons has a computers and so on. You have more than 1,000 international staff, the observers, 3,000 persons working. Here I'm mentioning about the people who are living there, because you have some people going back and forth, and so you can imagine. The police, the volunteers, and so on. I took this example to give you an idea regarding what might be the challenge in terms of IT, and then you will understand later on why we have a base here in Valencia. So in the past, when I say past, it's less than 5 years, each of these area, the mission, has their own data centers. So can you imagine having a data center sitting in Goma or Bukavu in Congo, meaning that in 1 hour you can have everything that is gone because of a battle. So that's a decision by the General Assembly, I think it was 2010, to create what is called the Global Shared Service Center. Global Shared Service Center means that we have 2 main data centers, Brindisi in Italy and here in Valencia, where we are hosting all the critical information, and then we are acting as internet service providers for all these missions. It means that all the connection and all the critical application that these people are accessing, they just have the front end, and then they are accessing everything from here in Valencia, in Brindisi. We are not yet yet, it's still progressing, so just to give you an idea, and you can imagine, we will come back on the cyber security side, okay? Yes, so the point with the field mission environment, in general, they are located in the area that are very unstable. It's not like, just to give you an example, when I go, I have one guy now who's coming from Mogadishu in Somalia. You have to understand that in this area, you have the physical security issue, but you have also issue because this environment or these countries are coming from war or the battle. It means that they don't have a minimum. When I say minimum, is the minimum. Water, anything. So if you think that someone do not have the water or food, it's not the internet that it's his main, I will say, expectation. Okay, so that's very important. But in the meantime, we have to ensure that the people who are there for the support, they have the mail, they have the internet, they can be in communication with their family, with friends, with their colleagues, and so on. Okay. So that's why, okay. And also in terms of infrastructure, we have a kind of asymmetric infrastructure, knowing that the mission are very broad, very different people, different mindset. Each one has its own budget, some existing for a long time, some new, and so on. And it's a different infrastructure. So we have to take care about that. So that's the reason of, okay? Yes, this picture is just to show you in terms, if someone is interested by politics, geopolitics, you know quite well the area where they are the peacekeeping. So it means that it's mainly Africa and the Middle East. These are the main areas. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yes, can you on? Okay. Yes, so the Field Technology Operation is part of the Department of Geospatial Information and Telecommunication. It means that we are taking care about also the geographical system, because this is one part that is quite important, the geographical part and so on. Okay. So we are providing the support for what is called the Department of Field Support, for Department of Political Affairs, and so on. Okay. Okay. The FTOC, the Field Technology Operations Center, meaning Valencia and Brindisi. Just 1 minute. Yes, so it's the main center for in terms of the data and for the communication. And the intention is to have all the voice, data, and so on going through here. It means that we should be acting. I say we should be acting. It's not yet the case also. We should be acting on the main service, internet service providers. And also they need to maintain their only some part of the information, but we should be acting on the second tier data center in case of issue, and if people have to move in terms of problem, as it was, I think, 2 weeks ago in Afghanistan. They just move, and then they go, for example, I think in this case it was in Dubai. When they arrived there, they continue to work like as normal by accessing the information here in Valencia or in Brindisi. Okay. The core mission, as we mentioned, is the support in terms of information and application. Okay, is to help them, because some of these missions still have some infrastructure there. So we are working with them in order to see how we can translate this information here in Brindisi or in Valencia. There is another shared service center based in Entebbe, but it's quite particular because this one is providing first services for the missions that are located in the east of Africa, in Darfur and so on. Okay, you can go ahead. Yes, what I will do now is just to give you a video. It's a video that has been made 2 years ago regarding the base, and then I think in 5 minutes this video will give a very good overview of what is the base here in Valencia. Okay, you can show it.
Located in Valencia, the United Nations Support Base is the host of the Secondary Active Telecommunications Facility. In December 2008, the General Assembly approved this Secondary Active Telecommunications Facility as a result of the growing dependency and needs for robust telecommunications support by peacekeeping operations around the world.
The establishment of a field-centric telecommunications support facility in Valencia is the result of a joint effort between the United Nations and the government of the Kingdom of Spain.
July 6, 2011 marked an exciting new chapter in data and telecommunications management for the United Nations. The Field Technology Operations Center, or FTOC, is the consolidated global information and communications technology infrastructure supported by two powerful, state-of-the-art, and tightly integrated information communications technology facilities located in Valencia and Brindisi.
The FTOC is a unified approach in providing reliable ICT services to the field and ensures that access to both enterprise systems and emergency communications equipment are never interrupted, and data assets remain fully protected and secure.
The Valencia Geospatial Information and Telecommunications Technology Center of Excellence assumes a leadership role in the provision of a complete portfolio of round-the-clock services. This custom-built facility meets the highest environmental standards, which include solar energy and rainwater harvesting, to ensure a lighter footprint on the environment.
The FTOC supports over 100,000 United Nations personnel deployed around the world and hosts enterprise and mission-critical ICT systems.
Today, the FTOC provides the necessary infrastructure, hosting, and connectivity for the Umoja initiative to its users around the world.
As it evolves, the needs of the field and ever-changing technologies, the United Nations support base in Valencia will continue to provide field-centric geospatial, information, and telecommunications technology support to all peacekeeping operations around the world.
Okay, so I hope that in 4 or 5 minutes you have an idea. Okay, so let's now speak about the team that we have. Is not only a team that is located here in Valencia. In fact, I'm coordinator of a team we have some subsidiary in New York, in Entebbe, in Brindisi, and we have also one security focal point for each mission. But I have a challenge because my past experience was quite in a large organization, for example, Bank, Swift, and so on. But this one is a very particular one. It means that you don't have the equivalent of the UN. It means that there is nothing that you can reply. You have to invent everything. It's if you are working for Bankia, for Banco Santander, you can base your experience on something that has been done by another bank. If you work for insurance, I used to be the IT audit in a bank or in the insurance, you can base something. There is no, you can take any of the standard. It's very difficult to apply in this kind of environment because it's the diversity, it's the very thing. And also something that you have to take into account is the multiculturality. It's very important. Here in Valencia, it's easy. All the guys here are members of ISACA, they are following everything. When you go in Somalia, the guy is thinking first about his own security before thinking about the information security. So that's a challenge. It's to create what I am calling the one team. You can go with the presentation, okay? So yes, you can just speak. So the first thing that we are doing exactly to target the evolution in terms of cybersecurity. It's which one? Okay, first in terms of organization, to put in place security architectures and so on, okay. To put in place a lot of things regarding the security assessment. One area very important, and we are mentioning about the cybersecurity is in terms of risk. It's very important because for me, it's easy. I'm coming from an environment with risk aware and so on, but in the UN, it's a culture that you have to implement it. And the same for the IT service continuity management. So it means that in terms of action that we have to do, we have 3 main areas. The main one is architecture, because you have to design your architecture in order to prevent all this. So the centralization is one of the points. And we are in an environment that is virtualized and so on, okay. In terms of operation, so to put in place assessment, monitoring, and others in terms of risk management. Just for information, the base in Valencia and the base in Brindisi are certified for 4 or 5 years now on the ISO 27001. We passed the last certificate 1 month ago. In terms of the challenges, yes, okay, as I was mentioning, I was glad to see that the person for the computer emergency response team was mentioning that one of our main challenges is the APT. We have a lot of malware, a lot. So if you imagine that this number of troops that we have, 20,000 only for one mission, each of them has a computer that is connected on the network using their own USB stick and so on. So you can imagine the amount of malware that we are dealing with every day. And it's very important. And then you have to understand that for a military guy, when he arrives in the area of a battle, don't tell him that then you have to come with a secure stick, pen drive, and so on. The guy do not care. It's you to care about. So that's why we are putting a lot of action also on security awareness. Very important. Okay. Information security for the mobile access. Everyone now has its own iPad, Android device, and the person want to need the access. And you have to understand that in many of these areas, like in Africa, these guys do not have computers, so they want to use the mobile access. So they are using that for work. So how you put in place mobile device management? There's a project that has been launched regarding the mobility, but it's still a challenge for us. How we prevent, how we put in place the mechanism to ensure that everything is secure when these people are accessing mobile, okay? The public ICT system, it's exactly the same. Everyone has his application to be accessible from internet. It's like at home. Everyone to do everything from the internet, and people do not care. Many people, they just think that you take the application, you put on the internet, and everything is okay. So this is also one of the challenge. The mission want their own website. We want to centralize that in Valencia and Brindisi and so on. Okay. That's one of the problems. Yes, the monitoring. This is another issue for us. That it means that we are working a lot to have centralized log, okay, with security incident event management and so on, IPS, IDS, the monitoring of all that from centralization. I have the option, it's not an option, it's a view or a vision for the creation of the computer security incident response team, the collaboration with the computer emergency response team of the different countries where we are located and so on. Okay, that's something I put in place also. In fact, as I was mentioning, the diversity regarding infrastructure, and you know, for cybersecurity, this is another area of trade, is to have a centralized or a minimum, what I call the minimum security baseline standard. It means that when you deploy an infrastructure, it's not the problem of where you are deploying it. There should be a set of the minimum security controls. That has to be there. So that's something that we are doing also. And the risk management, as I mentioned, for Brindisi and Valencia, no problem. We are certified ISO 27001, but the aim now is to spread this concept and to have all the mission going through this. But this is a big challenge. Okay, field mission support, as I was mentioning, we have one security focal point for the mission, each mission. Okay. We are doing a lot of application vulnerability assessment, because you have to understand that there are many legacy applications. There are new ones, but there are many legacy applications. So we have to perform vulnerability assessment. We do a lot of pen testing also. I think during the next year we will be spending almost 30% of our time only on the pen testing. That's very important. Yes, we are traveling on site to perform security assessment, because it's like in many organizations. You can stay in the headquarters and then you spread any kind of standard policy, everything that you want. If you don't go there, people will not apply. Okay. Yes, so okay, the hosting of everything in Valencia and Brindisi, okay, and we have one workshop a year with all security focal point. For example, next year in February, the intention is to go for a global training, 10 days on incident management, like the certification for the security incident handler. And then after that, we have a workshop to share best practices, common practice, and so on. And yes, as I was mentioning, the dissemination of the best practice across all the missions. Okay. Yeah, yes, as I was mentioning also, adoption of the ISO 27001, and last but not least is the fact that the point is now, in terms of the vision, it's adoption of the 20 critical security control for effective cyber defense. Some of them are already there, but I am spreading the ideas and ensure that in the 2-3 years we are fully compliant with the 20 security controls. That's in terms of ideas. Okay. That's all in a nutshell. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any question for Patrice?
You can ask the question in Valencian, Spanish. That I can understand.
Okay, I have a question for you.
There is one person.
Just the question is, on what extent the coordination between the different departments, because I was working before in a broad company in a centralized audit function,
Yeah.
and I cannot imagine how complex can it be in United Nations, but the coordination between the ICT team, application teams, and internal audit, on what extent this is an issue for internally managing the security across what is the function centralized in ICT and in other functions. And I don't know if you can give us just a short introduction on if this is a complex matter in your organization and how it's affecting the awareness globally.
Okay, thank you. As I was mentioning, I have a quite broad experience of working in large environment, as I mentioned. But okay, by chance, I have a background of IT operation, IT auditors, and so on. When I say auditors, from the internal and from the external. I think it's the most complicated environment. Complicated in the sense that you are working for a public organization. When you are working for the private organization, you have competitors. It means that you are forced to change or to apply some standard per regulation. You are obliged to. When you see a bank, they want or they don't want, they need a risk management team, they need audit team. There's no way. You have to do it. If you take the UN is a particular organization. There is no equivalent. And more than that, it's a global multicultural environment. You don't know where people are coming from. For example, I am the head of the team, but I think when I join, there are some people here, I join, I find some people. I didn't ask for anything, but you are recruited, you arrive, and then you find the people. And more than that, you have people who are there for 30 years and so on. And then it's like, now it's like everywhere. If you come with security, people see you, security or the audit, they are the most difficult function in the IT. Why? People see you as a blocking factor. You are a showstopper. You arrive, you say, yes, I want, because you have guys who have admin privilege for 20 years. Your first thing is that you will say, it's not good. The guy will say, I have that for 20 years, I'm using it. So the point is like in any organization is to mention to people in terms of risk. If you arrive and then you want to change everything or do a revolution, you will fail. And mainly in a public organization, there are many people, they have a permanent contract. You will not do anything. They don't care. So the point is step by step. First, you try to convince the people. You try first to convince the management. I think this is the most complicated. But it's again in terms of risk. It's a risk, impact, and so on. But it's a matter of years. I remember when I joined, there were some guys in my team that said, yeah, things are not changing. I say, if you are expecting change for 1 year, you can just leave now. There's no way. And also in terms of, you have people coming from Europe, you have people coming from Africa, you have people coming from Philippines. So it's different, but it's a matter of times. You pass through a certain number of frustration, and the first thing, don't compare. If I want to compare, I work for one of the biggest banks in the world. Well organized, you arrive everything. You have the key of your car in your office. You have everything. You arrive here, no. You go, you have. It's a matter of the awareness, but step by step.
Is cultural heritage an issue for security? And if so, how can you deal with it? Thank you.
The problem with the culture is the fact that first, when you arrive somewhere, you have to understand the drivers. If I go, for example, we go, for example, in a mission like, I don't know, in the Middle East, some of the missions are there for many years, they are well organized, the guys who are working have the mindset. You go in, some of those people do not have it. You understand what are the drivers, you understand exactly what are the skills of the people, and then you find a way to convince them. There is no software for that. It's a matter of soft skills. You can have the best hard skill. You can be CISSP, CISM, as everything as you want. How to convince a guy? Some of them do not understand. When there was a guy mentioning to me, when I asked him, when you define a project, why you don't mention the non-functional requirement like the storage and so on. The guy mentioned in Valencia, you are ISO 27 certified. So if I bring you my application, there is already a backup. So it's a matter of understanding where people are coming from. When I say are coming from, it's not only from the country, are coming from in terms of mindset. And you have to build the best way to convince them. But don't think that you can apply to convince a guy sitting in New York, for example, is not the same that convincing a guy sitting, I don't know, in Bukavu or in Dungu. It's that. So you are facing that every day. It's every day. You can imagine. I don't know for which organization you are working. In general, in many organizations, like in Spain, you have the company culture. There is no UN culture. UN is not, when we say United Nations, what does it mean, United Nations? So everyone brings, so it's something that you have to understand, and then it's a lot of discussion every day with the people in order to convince them. But it's taking a lot of time, I can tell you.
Thank you very much, Patrice.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you.